Welcome to Softball Sunday. I am so glad you could make it, and boy do I have a juicy lob for you today. But before we get into it, I want to check in with my friend Al, who I invited to come on for show and tell because he recently acquired a very cool thing. You know what I just realized is that your initials, AL, are your name, Al.
Yep. How cool? Isn't it cool?
We're talking right now because you have a pretty freaking cool thing that I would like to see, and I think a lot of people watching this video would like to see. Would you please bust out the really cool thing?
Absolutely. So I was lucky enough to acquire this, which is a Telecaster signed by the band Pearl Jam. Serendipitously kind of made its way to me completely by accident and ended up flying to Seattle on a whim to pick up this, signed by the band.
I don't think flying to Seattle to pick up that is a whim. I think that is an absolute given, must do. You can find the rest of that pretty fun conversation at the end of this video, but for now, let us continue with Not For You on the ukulele. Recall that the ukulele strings are Guys Can Eat Anything G, C, E, A. What we're going to do is make like an A shape on the guitar when you do one finger A on the G, C, and E strings in the 4th fret. That's our shape. Give it a strum, and you'll probably mute that A string, and that's what we want. Give it a strum, move it up 2 frets, and 1 more fret. You can throw in the sus4 on that top note by pressing down the Guys Can E string 1 fret higher than it is when you reach the top. So we got frets 4, 6, and 7. We can tip our cap to Mr. Ament if, on that first chord shape, we also put a finger on the A string 7th fret. That's all you need to do, because the next notes we need are already in our original shapes, up on the 6th fret of the G string and 7th fret. So what we're going to hear is... And that's the whole song up until the bridge, the My Friends Call Me Ed part, and that part is going to be F, which is 2 open, 1 open. And A minor, just take off your pointer finger. But if you want to get a little bit of the melody from that part in those chords, what we can do on the F chord is the E string is going to go 1, 3, 1, 3. Switch to the A minor chord, the C string is going to go open 2, open 2. Back and forth. And the last time it hits the F, I like to let the melody climb here. You'll see what I mean. The E string is going to go 1, 3, 1, and then A3 before we hit E, which is our first chord shape. And it's just this. You can mess around with the sus4 thing. I like the 6th fret of the E string because it's kind of nasty and it fits the tableau of this segment, so to speak. But then it goes down and does 4, 6, 4 for all that's sacred. Until it climbs back up. Gets back into the thing. And that's it for Not For You on the ukulele. I hope you found that fun and helpful. I hope that makes it to your next beach vacation. Thank you so much for being here on this Softball Sunday. I will see you next time with more stuff, and I'll leave you with Al. Goodbye. I don't think flying to Seattle to pick up that is a whim. I think that is an absolute given, must do. So what was the Facebook post and what was it? How did what?
So a friend of a friend of a friend happened to click like on a post of someone in Seattle. my friend lives in New Jersey. I'm in Maryland. This guy was in Seattle. And Facebook said, your friend so-and-so liked this picture. So I kind of looked at it and I'm like, wait, that looks really cool. So when I clicked that post, it took me to this auction for a small little charity organization in Seattle. And I'm like blown away. Like, how do these guys have this piece of history, basically? So when I saw that there was also a buy it now available, I just said, you know what? Sometimes you just got to do it. And I went with it. And they called me that night and said, did you actually hit buy it now? And I said, I did. I won it. Let's get this done. Wasn't cheap, but it was, to me, worth every penny. I mean, this is, in my opinion, an item that would literally be hanging in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I have it in my office.
100%. That's called priceless, and the money is going to obviously a good cause.
Yes.
How and which is, I think, obviously why they had it, right? Because it was the band's intention that someone that be used that way. How
Correct.
long did it take? How much internal? How many minutes worth of internal conversation did it take you between realizing what that was and clicking buy it now?
So I'm going to actually give the credit to my son, who said to me, Dad, I'm a big Pearl Jam fan. I travel all around the country to see them play, been to a lot of shows. And he's like, Dad, this is not going to come around again. You either buy it today or you just say goodbye to it. And he actually hit the button. I let him do it. So if I probably would have backed out of it because of the dollar amount, but if I let him do it, I was committed and I couldn't say no. So I give him all the credit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So can you give us a tour of the signature?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll start at the top with the Jeff Ament signature. And I'm trying to find no glare, I guess.
I'm waving.
So then we'll move over to Eddie, which is, I mean, prominent and bold. I'm hoping there.
Yeah.
We got Matt Cameron on the bottom below him.
Yeah.
Stone with the Google eyes.
Yeah.
And boom. And then Mike McCready all the way across the bottom, which is an awesome signature and bold and prominent.
Yeah, Mike McCready in 72-point font, and you mentioned
there it is.
That you mentioned that Mike is your favorite Beatle, so to speak.
Mike's special. I love his energy. What he brings to the stage is just, it's awesome. It's just like bottled lightning, and when you're at the show and you're watching him, regardless of where you're sitting, whether you're on the rail or you're in the back, if your eyes are on Mike, I mean, he's just constantly moving, and you feel it. So you feel it in the way he plays, you feel it in the way he moves, and that kind of, it resonates with me. I like that.
No,
obviously Eddie is Eddie, but Mike brings an energy that is just, it's cool.
It's 200% every time, all the time.
Yep.
He's always throwing his picks and dashing around and pointing at whoever. It is really cool. I like that about Mike. And if all 5 or 6 of them were like that, it might be kind of weird.
Exactly. Yeah.
That there's a balance.
Yeah.
So I did look up the serial number on that guitar, and
okay.
One thing that struck me when Kara sent me a picture of it, was that sometimes you see auctions for guitars signed by Pearl Jam, and they're not always decent guitars, and it doesn't matter because you could put up a block of wood signed by Pearl Jam, and it would be enticing for X amount of people.
Right.
But just when I saw the picture, I thought, well, that's not a piece of junk. And then I looked it up, and you're holding a 2019 made in Mexico Stratocaster, which is a very nice. That's a very nice guitar. There is nothing wrong with that guitar. I've got a made in Mexico I'm sorry, I said Telecaster. Sorry about that.
Just making sure.
I've got 2 made in Mexico Stratocasters and a made in Mexico Telecaster, and they're my favorite things in the entire wide world, that there's nothing about that guitar that is a piece of junk. That is great. Which brings me to my question. Are you going to play it?
So sadly, and this may rock the world of the guitar world out there, I don't play. My son does, and he's got a Mexican-made Strat. He just got himself he's a big Nirvana fan. He just got a Jaguar, so he plays. He has played it. We plugged it into the amp. It made noise. It was at it. It works. Yeah, it was completely out of tune. He tuned it up and he played it, and he played some Nirvana on the Pearl Jam guitar, which is, I guess, sacrilegious, but it is what it is.
No, that's okay.
So, yeah,
You're not
sounded great.
All right, so I'll just tell you that if you're going to learn to play a song without ever learning to play the guitar, not for you. You could learn that in
Okay.
You could just learn that without ever. So there you go. That's I'm just throwing that out there for you.
I will try. I will 100% give effort. Yeah.
Yeah. And my last question for you is our mutual friend Kara in Canada is kind of the man behind the curtain here. She provides a lot of support and is my sounding board. So we're very close, actually. And how is it that you know Kara?
So the relationships that the band has kind of forged for me are really cool ones. She and I met completely by accident in Miami in 2016. I had camped out for the rail. I was on the line for, a day in heat. And I guess halfway through the show, I kind of kept seeing this little face behind me trying to peek over my shoulder. And I turned around and it's Kara. And I go, "You're way too cute to be looking over my shoulder." And I made room and I pulled her up onto the rail. And like just instantly, we both had the same energy to the band. We both knew all the words to every song. And immediately we became best friends. And we've stayed in touch since then. We've done a show in Seattle together on the rail. We camped out together. And we just regularly touch base to see how each other's doing and check in with what we're doing with the band and new items that we've gotten. So she, like you, just made her way into my life and she has stayed. Awesome girl.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, Al, thank you so much for sharing the details of that really awesome thing that you have. That is indeed really awesome, and congratulations. And that's priceless. So I hope that's just awesome.
Yeah, it means a lot to me, and I'm happy to be able to share it with whoever.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
I never know how to end these. So